Welcome to the Be Empowered podcast by Biolabs. We are here live from our booth, Bio 2026 International in San Diego, and I am sitting here with our good friend, Geof Hannigan from Mayo Clinic. Geof, let's get started. Tell us about you. Tell us your role.
Hey, so it's really great to be here. Thanks so much for letting me join y'all. So I'm Geof. I am Director of Startup Engagements at the Mayo Clinic. And I also have one foot in Mayo, one foot in the Destination Medical Center Economic Development Group as well. So I partner, as you know, very closely with y'all at Biolabs, really building out our innovation in Rochester, Minnesota, in collaboration with the Mayo Clinic. So,
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna dig into that collaboration. We're gonna start with vision, right? So Mayo Clinic has patients at the center of everything that it does. What was the vision for bringing a Biolabs into Rochester?
Absolutely. So, Rochester and Mayo and the whole ecosystem has a ton to offer, right? So whether you're looking at just the access to resources at Mayo through the practice, through the research, through the education, you look around the Mayo Clinic in Rochester and the greater metro area, there's so many great other companies, other experts, other organizations. There's a lot to unlock, but if you're a startup who wants to work in that area, historically it's challenging. It's hard to find lab space, especially lab space that's flexible. It's hard to find startup programming, support, resources, and it's just really hard to navigate the Mayo Clinic being a large organization, right? And that's not something specific to them, but it's just kind of how it is with any large group. And so for us, the goal is unlock this potential that's there, that's really difficult historically to get access to, by providing the lab space, by providing the programming, and then by providing the access to that, like concierge navigation through the large organization.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to dive in a little bit more on those resources. Tell us a little bit about some of the resources at Mayo Clinic that startups can have access to.
Absolutely. So a big one for us is our partnership with the Mayo Clinic core facilities. So startups can access our world-class core. We have a variety of programs to facilitate that. The Mayo Clinic platform is another great one. So there's an astounding amount of data that Mayo's put together into a singular platform, which is accessible to startups through the Platform Accelerator program. So that's just a great resource for, if I'm recalling correct, it's over 30 years of de-identified longitudinal clinical data, and many other types of resources that you would expect from an organization like Mayo.
Yeah. And you mentioned it's kind of that concierge wraparound service, and there's also the Mayo site in Arizona. How does that play in with everything as well?
Absolutely. So it's one big network, and so being based in Rochester, of course, we do a lot with Rochester resources and clinicians, but we work very seamlessly across Arizona, as well as Florida too, being one of our other primary campuses.
Awesome. So you've got a network working with a strong network. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about the vision. Now let's talk about the vibe. What can a founder expect when they walk into Biolabs? It's currently under construction as of June 2026.
Yep.
When are we looking at launching? What is it going to feel like? And what kind of startups do you think would thrive there?
Yeah, so as far as that culture, that vibe goes, I think, as startups come in, the goal is that they feel supported, right? That being a founder is hard enough as it is, right? There's a lot of challenges, and so whatever we can be doing to support them and to help their innovations really thrive. It's really that supportive culture that, again, with Mayo and many other organizations in the area, it's supporting and thriving, but centered around the patient, right? And so it really is all about what's best for the patient, how can we get innovations to them faster, and really improve their care.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about the regional ecosystem that's growing?
There's quite a lot to be excited about. So within Rochester, there is the University of Minnesota Rochester, as well as the Mayo Clinic has, their education programs as well. There are amazing companies there. Nucleus Radiopharma is a big one. There are companies like Cytotherics and Viriad and Rion and others. And then kind of in the greater metro ecosystem as well, you have familiar names like Takeda, like Biotechny, like Ecolab, and then of course the University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin is just down the road, and others. So there's just a ton of resource there for startups to plug into.
That's awesome. And it sounds like they've got a good connective tissue too, with you in the center of it, with knowing these groups. So that's
Absolutely.
great.
I'm here to help connect. So
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome. And so we talked about vision, we talked about vibe, now value.
Yeah.
When this collaboration works the way it's supposed to, in the next 5 years, how do you see the innovation ecosystem in Rochester impacted by this collaboration with biolabs?
That's a great question. So I think, again, it sometimes sounds cliche, but if we're looking at this in 5 years, the biggest question is, have patients received a positive impact on their lives, right? And so if we're doing our jobs and the startups are succeeding, patients are really doing better, right, in some really key ways. Other things that I think are going to be great for success is building that ecosystem with startups that are succeeding. So whether it's gaining approvals, fundraising and getting investment, exiting, any type of startup success is great. And then also for us in the ecosystem with our connections to groups like the University of Minnesota Rochester and others, just providing more and more opportunities for folks to work with these companies to really, practice their innovation at the highest caliber that they can. So
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of successes to look forward to.
I love that. So to wrap things up, the theme of the conference this year is driven by purpose.
Yeah.
As we started, the patient is at the center of everything that Mayo Clinic does. That's a huge purpose. So in your experience, what does it look like in practice to build this kind of ecosystem model that is driven by purpose rather than commercial outcomes?
Absolutely. So for me, I think it really is about being thoughtful and intentional about, we talked about the vibes, right? The culture, like what are we doing? And it's not just what you do, but it's also how you do it, right? And so again, it really is bringing it to the forefront of, okay, we're in Rochester, we're innovating on Mayo's campus in this ecosystem, just continually being reminded in that space of, okay, yeah, we are in a hospital systems campus, right? We are working for patients that are coming here for their care. We want to do this, with urgency and with a high degree of, refinement and quality as we do it as well. So I think it's just being thoughtful about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and having that vibe, that culture that goes with it.
I love that.
So, yeah.
And in thinking about biolabs and our model, what is it about biolabs that really helps contribute to that?
So biolabs brings a lot to the table, right? I mean, it's of course the cutting edge lab space that really does grow with the startups, right? You can start at a bench and you can grow all the way to a private lab space, which is amazing. But it's also providing the network for the startups through the partners. It's providing the programming, the expertise, the mentorship, and that connective tissue, both locally and globally, because there are just so many great biolabs sites across the world. So
Awesome.
very cool.
Well, Geof, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. This is great. Yeah. Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.